Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here. My name is Dr. Shali. If this is the first time you're tuning in or you're seeing a video by me, welcome. I write and I recently started this YouTube channel to have conversations. And so the first 3 videos was mainly just me explaining what I want to do with the channel, making you a bit comfortable with who I am and what I'm trying to do. And now we're starting the crux of the channel. So today you will see that I have a friend with me, and I'm gonna let him introduce himself. But if you haven't yet, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment below, and let's have these conversations. So my friend, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thank you so much for being here. If you could just tell our people on the internet who you are.
My name is Naftali Chipasha. I'm a financial consultant by profession, a father of 2, and been married for practically 10 years this year.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right. So before we start, I think I should just talk about what this video is for. So as Naftali mentioned, he's a father, and I had written something many years ago about the fatherhood in Namibia, right? Or maybe the lack thereof, really, in some cases, in many cases. So I wrote about how we have a lot of single parent households, mainly run by mothers or headed by mothers. And I felt like there was really something lacking in fatherhood in Namibia. And so I wanted one of the interviews for this channel to be with a father who I think is a great father. And so I wanted to just wanted him to share his experiences with us, maybe give us a little bit of encouragement, motivation, I don't know. So yeah, so we can get into it. Naftali, you said you are a father of 2.
Yes.
How old are your people?
I've got 2 boys. One is 9 and the other one is 5, turning 6 in October.
So you have 9 years experience of being a dad.
You could say that, yes.
Okay, so I think let's start with what do you think is, or what do you feel is the most fulfilling thing about being a dad?
Fulfilling.
Yeah.
I think it all starts from when the child is born.
Okay.
Because at that particular point, you get a new sense of what life is.
Yeah.
Your perspective of what life should have been or is supposed to be sort of kind of changes, and your mind opens up into this new sphere of living, essentially. And the main thing that happens as a father is that at that particular point in time, when you hold that child for the first time, your entire world now exists to solely be the best person you can be for this person, to create a space, a world, an environment just for this person. You become their slave, essentially, you know. But at the same time, it's your entire existence now matters even much more so, because this is the life that you now have to live for, essentially. Yeah.
So that, like, okay, for me, that means like being a dad is amazing and it sounds amazing, but we have so many single moms and so many absent dads. What do you think is the most frightening thing? Because I think a lot of people do things out of fear, right? So maybe they're afraid to raise this human and have this responsibility or whatever. I don't know. I don't get it personally, how you could just leave your little human. But I assume that a lot of bad decisions or a lot of lack of action stems from fear. So for you, looking at your sons, right? What do you think what are you most fearful of being their dad? what brings you fear?
That's an interesting question. I think that because of the world that we live in now, when we grew up, life was very, very different. Obviously, there was no social media. TV wasn't as hectic as now. Our life growing up was very, very different. Now, our children these days are exposed to far much more stimuli, from social media to peer pressure is on a next level, because essentially, I'll give you an example of pornography, which you can now just access via the phone. But when we were young, if you were looking for it, you had to go to
you had to go buy a magazine, steal a tape, do something.
Understand?
Yeah.
So now, so the exposure to so much information, so much bad information, so much external stimuli, essentially, is the level of it is so high that you as a parent, me as a parent, I'm constantly worrying that are my principles, are my standards, everything that I try to teach my kids on a daily basis, would they be enough to fight these things? You understand? Because there's only so much I can do, but I have to have a little faith. I have to have a little faith in what I do teach them and be consistent in it, that they will make the right decisions, essentially, when faced with all kinds of trouble. So I think that's my biggest fear, is that I will not have relayed or taught enough for them to be able to handle the biggest things and challenges of this world, because it's just too much information their way.
So then I want to ask, based on that, what do you base your parenting technique? Hey, English. What do you base your parenting technique on? What is the foundation for the values and the principles that you instill in your sons as your children, but also as men, in people who are going to grow up to be men in this society? Where do you base what is your value base? Is that a correct thing?
Yeah,
whatever.
I get it. Okay. You see, the thing is, like I was saying before, we were raised differently, right? And maybe just a bit of background. My father is a clergy or pastor, and my mom was a nurse, right? But then who also joined him in missionary and ministry work, essentially. Okay, so my dad was very, very busy. He was very busy. And back in the day, when people used to start churches and be involved in everything church, they would give up everything, give up their vocation, and go straight into it. Everything. Like, they leave everything and jump full on in. Okay, so for a period, my mom remained as a nurse while my dad did that, and she then joined him later in said vision. Okay, so I grew up a lot around church type folk. Okay? So because of that, my basis of information and my the things that I learned, I won't say they were in a tunnel or in a, what you call it, in a confined space, but to a certain extent. Right? When you're in the church, you only get taught things like this, you understand? So your mind is not super open to all the crazy stuff that is happening around the world, because you're taught it is either sinful or
you're quite sheltered and quite protected from the realities of
sheltered. Exactly. So a lot of these things I had to learn by myself a bit later on in life, right? So now, based upon how I grew up, I do actually, I'm fortunate enough to have grown up with both parents. My dad was there, even though he was super busy, he was still there. The way he loved my mother, the way he was dedicated to his work, the way he raised us, the way he ensured that we got the best out of everything. He took us to good schools, and they ensured that we never saw my parents fight at all. You understand?
Okay.
We never saw them argue in front of us. There was never there were certain things that they shielded us from to not do in front of their children. You understand? And that's something that I've taken now. Even I always ensure, if I have a disagreement with my wife, it must not be in front of my kids.
Yeah.
My kids must only see love to my wife.
That's
the
amazing.
first thing.
That's beautiful.
Exactly. That's the first most important thing. Because,
yeah.
Especially as young men and young boys, they need to see the man love the woman. They need to see the father love the man. You understand?
Yes.
And you need to
yes.
show that on a daily basis, by it flowers, be it kissing your wife. You understand? Small little things. Sometimes they'll be like, ew, why
are you doing it?
Or, or anything of that nature. But these are the things that they need to see, because at the end of the day, it shows that men can love a woman, and it's not deemed as weakness. You understand? And small things, basically certain things like that. I think one extra thing I can say also is, my dad had this thing where so the basis of my foundation, I guess I could then say, is from how I grew up and how my parents raised us. So he ensured that we always got the best.
Okay.
Right. So it's something that I have now taken, that I will work as a slave. I will give up the best things in life to ensure that my children have the best. But in it, I need to see my work ethic. Because children of nowadays have got very poor work ethic. And that's something that I took from my father.
Instant gratification.
The children need taught to work. They need to understand the value of work. They need to understand respect. So it's basic things like greeting elders when they come home to visit. You understand? So a lot of that I took from my father, and I would say that's the basis of my parenting. Obviously, the times have changed, and you kind of need to
update it.
Take certain things exactly, and have your own cultures that you adopt, and all of those things. But I would say it definitely comes from there.
I think you mentioned really, really important things. I don't know where I read it millions of years ago, that the first romantic relationship that a child will be exposed to is obviously that of their parents. So they see that a lot of children tend to emulate that, and then it affects how they view relationships, how they view, if you're a young girl, how you think a boy should treat you, if you're a young boy, how you think you should treat a girl, and how a girl should treat you. And so I think it's really important that you said that, like, you need to show young boys and young girls a healthy romantic relationship between their parents, and a healthy relationship of friendship between their parents, and not seeing love as weakness, which is, I think, something we really, really struggle with in our community, is this, I guess, toxic masculinity, where it's like the idea of like anything being soft or whatever is you can't do it, especially in an African
context. Exactly. Yes, so, especially in an African context.
So it's that's really, that's amazing. I think so definitely what you're saying is that you think you are more equipped to be a good father because of the good father that you have. And I think then that you're passing that, that you're then also passing that onto your sons and equipping them with the same. But then that brings us back to all of this absent fathers, all of the absent fathers that we have in our country. We have so many women who are literally just raising their kids on their own. What do we do about it in our community, in our society? How do we remedy this? I know there's a multitude of reasons as to why somebody could choose to opt out of being in their child's life. There are many reasons, some through, I guess, no fault of their own. But the fact is that we have all of these single moms, and young boys need a steady, from what I'm understanding from you, is that a young boy needs a steady father figure who will help mold him into being a good man. and a young girl needs a steady, healthy father figure who will teach her and give her that healthy male energy, I guess.
Yes.
So how do we move forward with that? How do we? I don't know. I don't even know if you have the answers. I don't think anybody has the answers.
Weirdly enough, this is something that I've been very passionate about. Actually, it is young men. But the problem that we have is that a lot of them are not groomed and are not raised in the right environments or by the right people, or they just don't have the capacity to be what they should be because of where they come from and how they are raised.
And some childhood households, sorry, I just want to add that they're also a lot of childhood households. So you don't really have experience, you don't have somebody to show you. You just sort of had to dive in.
Yes, you had no choice essentially. So it's something that I've been passionate about for so many years, and I've always wanted to try and find something to do where the young men are concerned, because I think if you start there, right, if you start there and start teaching and start mentoring, I think you're creating a basis for the following generations at least to be able to be good men.
Yes.
The reason why there is gender-based violence and abuse of alcohol and abuse of drugs.
Let's talk about
all of these things.
Let's talk about
and all of these things. And all of these things is they come from a place of absenteeism, like you're saying, absenteeism of the male role model. Okay, so one of the biggest things I tried to get involved in, I think it was last year, was, as you can hear, my children are busy walking up and down. I tried to dissuade them. One of the there's a organization called the Fatherhood Foundation. Okay. The Fatherhood Foundation is started by a man called Pastor Carvin Isaacs. So he's a Christian pastor, but he has a passion for. This is in Windhoek.
So we'll put a link in the description or something.
We should definitely do that.
We will do that. The Fatherhood Foundation.
The Fatherhood Foundation. So his goal and his vision is to raise young, good, strong men in our society. Right, so they have a mentorship program that basically takes place over 12 months, and they go through books, they go through they have meetings, and they have group meetings and one-on-one to deal with issues that are faced, that men face essentially, right, from A to Z. You understand? So it's right. When I attended it last year, it had to do with a bit more mature older men. So you'd say young adults.
So what is the age range? What is the age range exactly? Like, where do they start?
Right now, I think that program specifically that they started was called Maximized Manhood, essentially, I think. And they did young adults, which is probably like just working professionals starting from probably 25. Going up, 24 going up, but they do. It seems like they have a program which they do in high schools as well. Because I believe this thing has to start from even further down.
Grassroots, primary school, kiddies, kindergarten,
high school, exactly.
Very beginning.
That's where characters are shaped, personalities are shaped, and so forth and so forth.
Exactly.
So I think in order for us to tackle this problem of absenteeism, programs such as this need to be brought to the forefront. There needs to be a whole lot of noise. Yes, there needs to be a whole lot of noise made about this, because first and foremost, the kids won't just join. You understand?
Exactly.
Plus, it's also Africa. You understand? Anything that has to do with like you see so many women's things, so many women's conferences, women's seminars, women's what. But the guys' things are not as existent.
There's a men's conference on the 14th of February where men go to avoid buying women Valentine's Day. Since you want to talk about men
you
conferences,
see,
sir.
you see. I am not even saying about the
Okay, so yes,
organization.
I am with you.
Yes,
I follow.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's programs such as this, and there are a few.
Yeah.
I mean, like back in the day when I was young, there used to be a youth camp that used to take place every year in December, where it was basically high school, high school and primary school, young boys and girls. In December, it would be called summer camp. It used to take place at Hodego. And they used to do all types of things, from games to team building to character building related traits. So something like that. So I think we need more programs for guys, for boys, for young men to teach. You understand? I think that's how we're going to help the society. So there are, like I said, there are a few men who have come up with these things. They just need more exposure. They need people
We'll expose
most
them
likely
here.
don't even know such things.
We will expose them here in the comments. We will do that.
Thank you very much. Exactly. So a lot of people don't know that such things exist.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we need to do.
And I think one thing I'm thinking about is, so this Fatherhood Foundation is faith-based, and Namibia is meant to be, I think, 90% or 95% Christian. Well, at least on paper. And then we have other, I think we also need to look at the possibility, and I'm not a man. I think these things should be led by men, number one, because as a woman talking to a young boy, I mean, there is a connection, but there's a different connection that needs to be had from
there's a different connection that
older
needs to
man.
have.
Exactly. And so that I really commend this pastor on this Fatherhood Foundation, and I think perhaps once this video is, we'll find out maybe that there are more similar initiatives that we can also maybe promote and help help promote and help expose and bring to the light. And so that also brings me to, I think, because just so we can wrap up, I think my plea, I guess, would be to fathers and men watching this video to do something, create something in their communities, because I think a lot of the time is we think that we really can't do much. We don't have many resources. We don't have much money. We don't have this and that, or we don't have much experience or knowledge. But I think that we are all aware of people in our communities who need some guidance. And if you are somebody who is in a position to do that, to start programs like that that are healthy and progressive, then I think we should all, well, you should all, men should do that, because I think that is one thing that is really, really lacking. And we mentioned domestic violence. That's a conversation in Namibia that would need an hour to talk about, or maybe 100 hours to delve into. And it's like a sickness that has taken over our community. Like it is eaten into every sphere of society, and it's just let me not. And then so I think this is you gave us some very good information, and I think it's a very good way forward. And I would love to thank you for being here today and for agreeing to this. I know that it's a bit unorthodox now that we are in the midst of Corona. We are doing Zoom interviews. It would be nice to have some coffee afterwards, but I can have coffee here, you have coffee there, and
virtual coffee. Yes.
Yeah, virtual coffee. But thank you so much for being here, Nav, and to everybody who watched, thank you so much for watching. Please share this video, share your ideas on what we could possibly do as a community to support young boys and young girls, and to support and promote stronger fatherhood sort of activities and connections. And if you have a child and you're not a part of their life, please make an effort to do so. As long as you are able, do what you are able. And I just have to mention, it's not about money, because a lot of people think like, oh, I pay for their school fees. And I mean, a lot of us grew up in African households where the idea of masculinity it's different now than from when we were growing up. The idea of being a father is much different now from when we were growing up. So I wanted to say that we should all really try to get involved in children's lives and mold the future, mold the younger generation, because they're our future. We want a better society. We want a society that's not riddled by gender-based violence and by violence in general, just toxic behavior, alcohol, drugs, and all of that, just from a lack of absenteeism, So it got a little bit heavy there, but thank you, Naftali. I appreciate you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for everybody
having me.
watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video with our next interview. Let me know what you liked about this video and what you didn't like, and what questions you would have liked me to ask Naftali, because I got his number and we can always get him back. So thank you for watching, and see you later.
Bye.